of sacred memory. Sacred has to do with an old word. I think, as I remember the research, if you push it back far enough, it's going to have to do with blood. It's going to have to do with sacrifice. It's going to have to do with the old way of being in the world. Remember that once upon a time when we sacrificed human beings for ourselves? Oh, that's today. Sorry. We still do that. We have them in uniform. And we give them a document, and we give them training of sacred memory. I want to spend a moment of time this morning, a few moments, to call our attention to the history of this day, its meanings, and what it is not. Memorial Day occurs tomorrow. For many, many years it was the 30th of May, but somehow in the 60s or 70s it got set on a 3-day weekend. And we can argue about, labor unions and 3-day holidays and all of that all you want to. But we sort of move that stuff around for convenience. And those of you who work in the real world know how good it's to have that sometime, especially a break. But Memorial Day is a day set aside by this country and culture to celebrate the war dead. I've been working this week trying to remember if there's anyone close to me who fits that category. Daddy, Uncle Ralph, Uncle Bill, had a great uncle, had a cousin in Vietnam. I have no deaths that came close to me. I served as an Army chaplain in the reserve for 8 years. I learned the jargon. I learned to march. Knocked around with a self-propelled field artillery unit that had an 8-inch gun. And the chaplain was initiated at Fort Sill by standing with his back 30 feet from this huge gun that rode around on a caterpillar and would throw, I think about 100-pound, no, not that much. Yeah, probably. 80-pound projectile, 10 miles. So I stand there and I pull the Landry and I look around and there's this shot going down range at Fort Sill. And when that gun discharged, I knew right then I was not a warrior. That's scary stuff. That's concentrated power. But I got in the Army Reserve because I felt like folks needed folks in there who cared about why they were there. Not for some point of glory, but some point of necessity. Memorial Day is a recognition that freedom is not free, that we have fought wars, good, bad, and indifferent. But the politics and the people are two different things. And in this congregation, I hope, and in this religious movement, we can be honest with that. And we can hate the politics, the wrong-headedness, the motivations, the bad ethics, but never, never, never disparage the people. Only in so much as they forget that honor is the first thing. When violence becomes for the sake of violence, then we have gone to the dark side. We have lost our way as a people, as a culture, and we've pretty well negated our future. But when a culture understands that sometimes sacrifice is needed, Lord, that is such a big word, sometimes. Because my heart wants to be a pacifist. I want us to have to work it out. I don't want to go to Winn-Dixie. I don't want to go to Cracker Barrel and somebody be toting a carbine on their back. Okay, Doak, get back on task. It's Memorial Day. It's not guns. It's guns. It's Memorial. We are confused in the society, and we will stay confused until we believe the crap that's handed to us. War is the last refuge of a scoundrel. It is the denial of possibility. It's saying the only way I can survive is to treat you like an it. And that means I can kill its, and I can kill gnats. For all those folks who listen to the call of their families and their country and their vision of a better world, who said, I'll go, send me, and then went and faced the horror of a battlefield. There's some in this room that don't understand it. Some of us can't even get close to it. But that is unmitigated horror, live and in color. And you are there with no place to go except into the violence. We must, as human beings, take a moment to recognize what that does to a body, does to a soul, and how it affects our culture. In our society today, we turn on television, we go to movies, we read, and violence has become a part of our culture. And I don't want to take the cheap thing out, all the Bible thumpers doing all the violence in society. It's because we're bored and the meanings have been lost. We don't talk about anything that means anything, because our young people know we're lying through our teeth and hypocrisy has become a practiced art. We look to the poor and they're poor because of who they are, not how culture has done them. We look at education and we expect it to solve all our problems. We look at teachers, we don't give them the skills, we don't give them the money, and say, do your job. We look at preachers and go, save us, give us the great ideas we can get by on. All of us are needful. Memorial Day weekend is an opportunity to have a cookout, to go have some fun, and at least spend a few moments understanding what it must have looked like getting off of those boats and wading through that water, that cold water on D-Day, looking at those sparks coming at us that were tinging off those boats, and we're going into that mess. Or today, around the world, walking our patrols and expecting somebody to shoot us in the back. We do that, people. People do that because we send them there. Not somebody else. Not those bozos in Washington, because they think they can get away with it. And they keep getting away with it. So as Mr. Lincoln said, watch this stuff. That man walked the White House. He couldn't sleep. His guts were in a turmoil. And he went over to the telegraph every night to read the reports from the front and find out what was going on with his boys out there. And he watched a nation on the verge of disaster and division and destruction in all that blood. In all that blood. And we this morning stand here, and Doak Mansfield has the freedom to shoot his mouth off and not know half what he's talking about and have opinions that can't be supported. But I know what's good and I know what's evil. And war is evil, and it's our cop-out. And we continue to find ways to go, well, it's for our pride. My God, they struck us down at 9/11. We've been robbing them for 2 centuries. We've been the ugly American for generations. We've been acting like we're the only ones that know how to do things. You think people that we demean and treat and abuse and colonize are not going to strike back? Where were we? We were awake. We were asleep. We were doing our thing. See, it's not about guilt, but it is about accountability. It's not about responsibility, but it is about awareness. And as long as we continue to be ignorant, as long as we continue to look away, as long as we continue to let the bozos get away with this, then we have what we're stuck with. But I want you to remember today, look at what's happening with VA, both in the politics. Had any buddies go to VA lately? Had any friends? I got one in down Jackson, Mississippi. Been going this week. It's no fun. War is hell. A great practitioner of it described it. Billy Sherman, crazy man. All he knew how to do was fight. U.S. Grant, crazy man. All he knew how to fight. But when he stepped back, he knew of the blood that he had been a part of. Memorial Day is a recognition at a time memorial for us to look at our war dead and say thank you. You gave the ultimate. We honor you. But at the next breath we must say, and now let us be attentive. Let us not do this again. Let us find ways that this will never happen again. Let us find new ways of being one with another. Oh, Doak, you're just a silly idealist. You ought to get over it. You're too old to believe in that crap. When I'm too old to believe in that crap, when you're too old to believe in that crap, it won't happen. They will have won. Hate and division and ideology will win. And those with all the money will sit in their towers and make their decisions, and we'll jump around, and we won't have water to drink, and we won't have food to eat, and we'll be crawling over one another trying to survive. That's not what we called for. That's not what those lies were about. Those lies were given in hope that there would be a better world. Those who were able to come home from World War I and II, all of those wars thought it would be a better day, and then they ran into the harsh realities. Learn and relearn and recommit. You know what life is about? Life is about persistence, and life is about learning, and life is about finding holy those who give what they can give, but don't ever mistake their gifts and relate their gifts to the idiocy that asks for the gift. In a time of silence, I want us to say thank you to those who gave it all. A lot of folks. Kids. But don't not just our guys and our gals, but all those. Who wins the war? The undertakers. Those who have the terrible, terrible responsibility of burying the dead. And I want to be somber this morning. I don't want it to be a happy time. You need moments, we all need moments to recognize how complicit we are in the hate and the hurt of the world. Because until we recognize our complicity, we can't change. We can't say never again. Never again. I watched my daddy for too many Friday nights get his medication of choice. 2 6-packs on the backyard, on the back porch. He didn't hurt anybody. He just stayed drunk for 48 hours. Remembering the South Pacific. Remember the dread that he lived through. See, all of us are touched by that. All of us can relate to that. Memorial Day is a time to remember, of sacred memory, those people who gave their all for something that was holy and ultimate, and it had to do with blood. It's not about flags, it's not about picnics, and not about hot dogs. It's about someone saying, okay, you want me to go over there and do that with this weapon? You want me to stand here? You want me to run this computer and make that happen downrange? That's heavy, mean stuff, guys. Let us always be aware that we are part of the decision and recognize the gifts that those who've had the courage to be who we are. John Milton said it. Gratitude bestows reverence, allowing us to encounter everyday epiphanies, those transcendent moments of awe that change forever how we experience life and the world. We should never wave a flag. We should hold a flag up and be crying all the time. We should never say, go, you go, we're proud of you. Say, go with our love, and please try to come home. It's not romance, guys. It's not glory. It's raw, and it's mean, and there's no way to get around it except to remember it. To remember it and honor it. So let it be. Amen.